Hey, this is Connor, the language czar. So today I'm speaking to you from Thessaloniki in Greece, and I've come here for the Polyglot Conference 2016 that's just about to kick off. So I just thought I'd shoot this quick video before I head down to the opening event of the conference. So as I promised, now that my Learn Ukrainian language mission is complete, I was there in Lviv and I think I gave you about 10 videos, the 10 days that I was there studying Ukrainian. Now I'm going to give you a series of review videos where I review the main language tools that I used, the main products and the language school that I attended when I was in Lviv, and how I got on with each product and each way of learning the language. So in this video, I'm going to review the Ukrainian Language and Culture School in Lviv. So I was actually really skeptical when I first considered going to a language school, because in the past my experience with learning language school had been awful. Basically in high school, I mean, I don't know, we should probably do a calculation of hours I spent in language classes. For me it was in Irish and in French, and my level was basically almost non-existent once I had left school, we'll say a year later, right? Because when I prepared for the exams, obviously I had a certain level that allowed me to get through them. So in spite of the skepticism, I said I'd go with an open mind. Now, the first thing that I thought worked really well at the school was the fact that the classes were really small, like 2 people small. So I think this made a big difference to my experience, because if you're in a class of like 5, 6, 10, like in high school it's 20 maybe people, you have only a tiny part of time in which you interact personally with the teacher. And that means that you don't actually really get the tuition tailored in any way that's engaging to you. If you're only going to speak for like 2 minutes out of an hour, and the rest of the time you're going to be passive, it's very hard to stay interested. And but that's very different if there's only 2 students in the class, because basically you're interacting non-stop. So I was there for 3 hours a day, and there was one other student, and that student was quite interesting because they had previously studied Polish. Now, we're both studying Ukrainian, and I already speak Russian to an intermediate level, and that's a cognate language, and so is Polish. Polish is also a cognate language with Ukrainian. That means they come from the same family of languages. That's the Slavic family of Indo-European languages. Now, they come from the same family, but their similarities to Ukrainian are actually quite different. Russian has very similar grammar. Grammatical structure is pretty easy to follow in Ukrainian. I found that very easy, but the vocabulary is very different. It has a lexical similarity of around 40 to 50%, somewhere in that ballpark figure. Whilst Polish, on the other hand, is not as similar at least grammatically to Ukrainian as Russian is, but the vocabulary is a lot more similar. So their lexical similarity is somewhere between, I think it's 70 to 80%, around that ballpark figure, depending on the methodology. So that makes it a lot easier to understand the words if you speak Polish, but hard to understand the grammar compared to, well, it's the opposite for me, in fact. So I found that interaction with the student really interesting, and we were always constantly engaged, because the conversation was basically between me, the other student, and the teacher continuously for the entire time I was there. And I thought the teacher picked out both grammatical and vocabulary points that we were going to learn in each class quite strategically based on these previous experiences that we had. So it was quite well tailored, and she focused on getting us to speak, which is most important in the beginning, because then after the class I went outside and I, of course, spoke in Ukrainian in the shops and the restaurants with people I met. It didn't always work out, I didn't always understand. Sometimes then I switched to Russian to improve the ease of communication, and I also use code switching. I have another video on that. It was day 9 of the language mission video, so you should go check that one out if you're interested, how I use Russian words when I didn't know the Ukrainian ones, and how that helped me to learn the Ukrainian words faster. So overall, actually, I was quite surprised. But in spite of my skepticism, my 2-week program at the Ukrainian Language and Culture School in Lviv was actually a success, I would say, overall. So I'm giving a thumbs up on that particular part of my language learning mission. I certainly learned a lot. It got me very enthusiastic about the language. I was immediately using it for 3 hours of the day, in spite of having not learned the language previously. So that was really, really great. So if you've been recently to a language school, or you have would like to share your experiences in having learned languages in the school, whether it was a high school or a specific language school later on, write me in the comment section below the video. And this is going to be a series of videos, so videos coming up are going to be about italki, Glossica, Language Boost, and Linked. They were the other programs that I used during the Learn Ukrainian mission, and there are links to all of those below in the description to this video, along with a link to the school if you're interested in learning more about languages and traveling and being a digital nomad, and you want to be in contact with like-minded people. Maybe hit me up for some particular burning questions that you have. Then you should sign up for my mailing list. Now there's a link to that below. That's completely free, and there's also some bonus videos there, and you can unsubscribe if you don't like it afterwards. That's not a problem. I give an option in all the emails. So you should go and do that straight away, because I'm going to be opening up an inner circle in the next, just after this conference is over, and you need to be on the mailing list in order to apply for that. I have that reserved for exclusively for those who are already on my mailing list. So go do that right now. There's a link below. So it's bye-bye from Connor, the language star, from Thessaloniki in Greece. Until the next video.